He's called me venomous.
We will fight back to your attempt to bring Trumpism to New York City.
He's called me disgraceful.
Of the fact that they stole the Supreme Court seat. An illegitimate president and an illegitimate member of the United States Supreme Court.
He's called me radical.
Listen, yes. We know he's crazy. Yes. We know he doesn't have a sound mind. Yes. We know he's out of control. Yes. We know he's losing it. Yes. We know his days are numbered and we will come together.
He's called me a racist.
We've got to stand up to an administration which is too male, too pale, and too stale. Too male, too pale, and too stale. Too male, too pale, and too stale.
Thank you.
Meanwhile,
Letitia James campaigned on the fact that she was going to get Trump, which is unethical. She brought these bogus fraud charges for the not fraud of paying back sophisticated Wall Street banks in full, on time, with interest. She went to this Democrat Manhattan judge, Arthur Engoron, who ruled before the trial even began, before any witnesses or any other evidence, that Trump somehow committed fraud. And then they imposed this $500 million unconstitutionally punitive fine on Trump. No jury, just a decree from this biased judge. And now they expect that he's going to come up with $500 million in cash that he has stuffed in his mattress. This is totally un-American, and the New York appellate courts must fix this, because New York businesses are going to flee New York tomorrow.
A few moments later.
Hey, look what happened. Is this crazy?
What's going on, guys? We got to talk about Based Mike Davis from the intro here. Okay, so this guy went off on Letitia James and he put her in her place. Okay, but before we get into what he said, I want to show you guys the really jarring and awkward speech that she gave after the Trump victory. Take a look.
We did not expect this result, but we are prepared to respond to this result. And my office has been preparing for several months, because we've been here before. We faced this challenge before, and we used the rule of law to fight back. And we are prepared to fight back once again. Because as the Attorney General of this great state, it is my job to protect and defend the rights of New Yorkers and the rule of law. And I will not shrink from that responsibility.
Now, here's the thing about the Trump victory, that it doesn't make sense to me how these people are moving. And it really goes to show you that the Trump derangement levels are just too high. The American people repudiated, rejected these radical leftists. They rejected the lawfare. They rejected the threats to democracy to remove people from the ballot and blindly call people insurrectionists in order to essentially get your way for eternity. Like, just kind of hold on to this whole Jan 6 thing and then use that and weaponize that to go after your political opponents for eternity, including giving this man a court case where he loses before he ever even sets foot in court, which was unprecedented.
Before this trial even began, the judge ruled in our favor and found that Donald Trump did engage in years of significant financial fraud we uncovered.
He ruled we didn't even have a chance to testify. I got a call last week, sir, we lost part of the case. I said, the trial didn't even start. You know, the trial starts, I guess, today. He ruled that we lost a big part of the case because he's a Democrat club politician.
So instead of just moving on, saying, okay, I'm gonna just lay low and just wait till this is over, you want to go out publicly, basically antagonizing Trump more after he's won the presidency. I mean, effectively, you're like incentivizing this man to make sure that he targets you and investigates you and sees what he could find on you. Because if you could pull some BS out of your ass like this to get him, what the hell do you think he could possibly do to you? Now, I'm not saying he should operate the same way that the Democrats are operating, where they just make stuff up But Letitia James definitely seems like a person who has more skeletons in her closet than Donald Trump. At least that's my opinion. Even for going after him to begin with, he could go look into her record and look into her communication, subpoena communication, to see if they were intentionally trying to just find anything that they could on him so that they could go after him for political reasons, or if they legitimately thought that there were concerns prior to the politics, which we already know the answer to. So Base Benny Johnson was having a call with this same attorney from the intro, Mike Davis. Okay, this is one of Donald Trump's attorneys. And I love this guy because he always got something totally based to say. I'm going to let you hear it straight from the horse's mouth. The message that he has for Letitia James if she continues this ridiculous lawfare and stands in Donald Trump's way.
Let me just say this to Big Tish James, the New York Attorney General. I dare you to try to continue your lawfare against President Trump in his second term, because listen here, sweetheart, we're not messing around this time, and we will put your fat ass in prison for conspiracy against rights. And I promise you that. So think long and hard before you want to violate President Trump's constitutional rights or any other American's constitutional rights. It's not going to happen again.
We've been warning people on the show, Mike. This isn't the same Trump administration. Stop messing around. Don't rig elections. Don't illegally vote. Don't try the funny business, because we know the team this time and they are not effing around.
Whoop, there it is. We will put your fat ass in prison. Stay the hell out of his way. Yes, be afraid. Yes, he's the commander-in-chief. Yes, he has immunity. So I wouldn't F around and find out if I were you.
If you stayed on here and you never around, you'll never find out.
But then again, it might be too late for you, because the appellate court appears as though they're already going to throw out this bizarre and stupid and partisan left-wing hack case that you had against Trump to begin with.
Beneath all these questions, the question of mission creep has 6312 morphed into something that it was not meant to do.
All of the defendants repeatedly violated.
Ms. Vail, can you identify any previous case in which the Attorney General sued under Executive Law 6312 to upset a private business transaction that was between equally sophisticated partners?
And it was using...
I'm sorry, but what's being described sounds an awful lot like a potential commercial dispute between private actors.
I mean, you've got two really sophisticated parties in which no one lost any money. The case that you cite involved where there was damage to consumers, damage to the marketplace. You've got a scheme to get unsophisticated consumers to take out home loans. You got a collapse of Lehman Brothers. You don't have anything like that here.
And that's something you must address, because there has to be some limitation on what the Attorney General can do in interfering in these private transactions, as Justice Friedman said, that where people don't claim harm. So what is the limiting principle? The immense penalty in this case is troubling. So how do you tether the amount that was assessed by the Supreme Court to the harm that was caused here, where the parties left these transactions happy about how things went down?
Historical backdrop to this law. How do we draw a line, or at least put up some guardrails to know when the AG is operating well within her admittedly broad sphere of 6312, and when she is going into an area that wasn't intended for her jurisdiction?
Unfortunately, guys, the way that things have gone, I really don't see a way out of having to tackle some of these people from a legal perspective, especially the people who particularly went after Trump legally. He's going to have to target them legally back, at least for fraud in the way that they went after him. That's only fair. I'm not saying make some BS up the way the Democrats did, but it's legitimate to say, hey, these people were conspiring, these people were colluding to commit election interference against me fraudulently. And this is something that I think that he has to do in order to prevent people from trying to do something like this in the future. Like, you got up and comers like Ron DeSantis, you got JD Vance still out there, Vivek Ramaswamy might run again, Byron Donalds. Now you got Tulsi Gabbard in the party, right? So you have other people in the Democrats at any time could try this ish again. And if they get away with it, it's like any bully. If you allow them to get away with something, they're going to keep doing it. You kind of have to really clap back at them, and then they'll at minimum think twice about it. They will hesitate. They will refrain. They will feel as though, oh, I don't want to get hit back. I didn't know you're going to hit me back. I don't know if I want to deal with that. So yes, this is what Trump has to do. All of these people, oh, he's going to go after his political opponents. And it's like, what the hell you think has been happening under the Biden-Harris administration? You think that they've just been focusing on upkeeping the country and keeping inflation down and keeping the border closed? Clearly not. They've been focused in on a national level and on a state level in New York and out in Atlanta, Georgia, where I'm at, on partisanship, on going after their political opponents. So if you ask me, I don't give a damn. It's payback time. That's just my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think. Drop a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. I appreciate you watching the Black Anomaly Rising channel. I'm out.
Attacking me, including the racist AG, Attorney General in New York, whose state is falling apart from murders, rapes, robberies, drug deals, and every other form of record-breaking crime. The homeless are sadly but dangerously roaming all over the streets of New York City, and the city is filthy dirty as this racist AG. She is just as bad as you get. As she only campaigned, you know what her campaign was? I didn't know her, she didn't know me. I will get Donald Trump. And she beat a big field of candidates with a small vote. And then, you know, she ran for governor and she got like 2% or something.